So render is a sand and cement. It can be lime based, it can be acrylic, silicone, which is becoming more popular now, and high polymer renders as well. Typically people choose the render option for the home, mainly for obviously the transform the look of their home. It's quite good for people that have had alterations and extensions made to their property, so therefore they choose the render option. So if you've got extensions, bad brickwork underneath, old stonework that's failed, anything like that, it's a good way of transforming your home and making it as one, and also for added waterproofing as well and longer lasting in the future. The modern systems now are so much waterproofing in them. I mean, the silicone technology in the K Rend itself, the water just sort of bubbles up on the surface, so there's nothing going to be penetrating into the substrate. It almost creates a film over the surface. That's the reason why it is a low maintenance finish, and it will hold its colour as well. Traditional renders will require you actually making the mix yourself, so it will be sometimes like 4 sand, 1 cement and a lime, with some frostproofer and waterproofing as well. So one of the benefits of the modern renders now, which are pre-bagged, so they have everything in there, so they have all the additives in, so all you literally have to do is add the water to the mix. Traditional renders and modern renders, they can all be applied by hand. Traditional renders will have to be applied by hand due to the fact they won't go through any modern render pumps or anything like that. But now with quite a lot of large-scale jobs that we do, we find it a lot more time-saving to actually put it through a render pump. So the pre-mix bags, they go into the render pump, they can pump up to 15 metres up the scaffold, applied onto the wall, and then it's left to us to then rule off and make good. Sometimes we use external wall insulation, which is quite popular now if they've got solid walls and no cavity. So if they're thinking about having their house rendered, they can add the insulation on and then render on the top of that. So it is a good system to do as well. We'd like to complete full elevations at a time. This is going through base coat and top coat. We'd probably average a house around a couple of weeks turnover, depending on the size of it. Maybe a little bit less if it's a smaller house, but most large scale, a couple of weeks. That includes prep work and bead and things like that. There is a lot of work that goes into it with the base coat, mesh, primer coat and colour. So it is quite an in-depth system, but I'd say it's one of the best out there. You're choosing the traditional render, you will need to maintain that with paint. So obviously you have to paint that product, and then you will have to maintain that over the years. Probably I'd say 3 or 4 years, start repainting it maybe. With the new modern renders now, with the silicone technology and pre-coloured, there is no maintenance. If it does get a little bit dirty, you can sort of do a light pressure washer over it. You can get a special treatment that you can apply onto the wall to clean it down, which some people do sort of every 12 months, but it's very rare. I mean, we've had jobs that we've applied sort of 3 years on, and they are still looking as the day they were applied. I'd definitely recommend K Rend as a company with the backup as well as the product itself. There's always positive feedback, and people are just so impressed with the way it looks, whether you want a modern look or keep it a little more traditional. Because we can spray apply the render, we can have textures slightly different, so people that want a slightly more modern look, we can sort of float up and rub it down so it's a bit more sharper looking, a bit more contemporary, or we can spray apply a little bit heavier texture to keep it more traditional if they've got, say, an old cottage or something like that. So it is a versatile product, and like I say, the end result's always fantastic.